Welcome to In Loving Memory, a heartfelt space guided by Joseph to honor lives that left a deep and lasting imprint on the world. Here, we remember treasured individuals from film, music, culture, and beyond, reflecting on their achievements, their humanity, and the inspiration they shared. Through every tribute, their presence lives on in the hearts of those who remember them. Actor Patrick Muldoon, widely known for his work in Melrose Place and Days of Our Lives, has died at the age of 57. He was a recognizable television presence from the 1990s onward, admired for his charm, screen confidence, and ability to move between daytime and primetime roles with ease. His passing marks the loss of a familiar figure from a defining era of television entertainment. Rise to fame, Muldoon rose to prominence in the 1990s, becoming a popular television actor and a well-known face to audiences across the world. His performances in long-running drama series earned him a loyal fan base, while his role in the cult sci-fi film Starship Troopers further expanded his recognition. He was often associated with the energetic, leading man image of that era, and remained a steady presence in entertainment conversations. Later, work and legacy. In later years, he continued to stay active in film and television, taking on new projects and exploring production work as well. He remained connected to the industry through upcoming releases and creative collaborations. Colleagues and audiences remember him for his versatility, professionalism, and lasting contribution to both television and film. His work continues to be appreciated by fans who followed his career over several decades. Gwendolyn Chisholm, a rapper and songwriter, passed away in Atlanta after a brief illness at the age of 66. She was best known as a co-founder of the influential hip-hop group The Sequence. In the early days of rap, she helped bring a fresh and important female voice to a rapidly growing music culture. Funk You Up and Music History. In 1979, The Sequence released Funk You Up, a track that made history as the first charting song by a female hip-hop group. The song became a milestone moment, showing that women had a powerful place in the emerging rap scene. Its rhythm and style helped shape the sound of early hip-hop. Influence on modern artists. Chisholm's work didn't fade with time. It continued to inspire new generations. Her music has been sampled and reimagined by artists like Dr. Dre, Erykah Badu, and Katy Perry. These connections highlight how her creative impact reached far beyond her original era. Legacy remembered as a quiet pioneer, Gwendolyn Chisholm helped lay the foundation for women in hip-hop. Her influence still echoes in modern music, and her contribution remains an important part of the genre's history and evolution. Chuck Negron was born on June 8, 1942, in New York City, where he grew up surrounded by music and developed an early passion for performing. That passion eventually guided him toward a career in singing, where his natural talent and expressive voice quickly set him apart. Rise with Three Dog Night. Negron became widely known as one of the lead vocalists of the iconic rock band Three Dog Night. During the late 1960s and 1970s, the group achieved major success and helped define the sound of the era. His powerful and emotional vocals were central to some of their most memorable songs, including Joy to the World and An Old-Fashioned Love Song, which remain classics in rock music history. Legacy and later life. Beyond his musical achievements, Negron's life included personal challenges that he later spoke about openly, encouraging others to find strength and hope in difficult times. His honesty and resilience added another layer to his public legacy, remembering his impact. Chuck Negron passed away at the age of 81. leaving behind a lasting musical legacy. His voice continues to live on through timeless recordings that still connect with listeners today. He is remembered for his artistry, emotional depth, and the enduring impact he had on generations of music fans. Bruce Glover, born on May 2, 1932, built a long and steady career as a character actor known for his sharp features and intense screen presence. He often portrayed unusual or eccentric characters, bringing a unique energy that made even small roles stand out. Over the decades, he became a familiar face in both film and television. Memorable film roles, one of his most recognized performances, came as Mr. Wint in Diamonds Are Forever, where he balanced menace with a subtle, dark humor that made the character unforgettable. He also appeared in films like Chinatown, Walking Tall, and later Ghost World, showing his ability to stay relevant across different eras of cinema. His performances often left a lasting impression, even in supporting roles. A career built on craft. With more than 100 screen appearances, Glover earned respect for his consistency and originality. Directors appreciated his willingness to fully commit to unusual characters, and audiences remembered his ability to bring depth and personality to every role, no matter the size. A lasting legacy. He was also the father of actor Crispin Glover, sharing a creative and unconventional approach to storytelling. Bruce Glover passed away at the age of 92, remembered for his individuality, dedication to acting, and the memorable characters he left behind. For more than 3 decades, Wendy Williams built a career on saying what others avoided. She wasn't polished in the traditional sense, and that was exactly the point. Audiences didn't tune in for perfection. They showed up for honesty, even when it felt uncomfortable. Her presence dominated radio waves and daytime television, turning everyday commentary into cultural conversation. She created a space where boldness was currency, and silence had no place. At her peak, she wasn't just a host. She was a force who shaped how celebrity culture was discussed. But the same voice that made her famous also set her apart in ways that came with consequences. When her public presence suddenly faded, it left many wondering how someone so powerful could be pulled away from the spotlight so completely. The answer lies not in a single moment, but in a lifetime of pressure, resilience, and deeply human struggle. Roots of strength and expectation. Born in 1964 in New Jersey, Wendy grew up in a household shaped by discipline and achievement. Her parents were educators who valued structure, education, and perseverance, creating an environment that looked ideal from the outside. Yet expectations can be heavy, especially for a child who already feels different. Wendy stood out early, tall, expressive, and unwilling to shrink herself to fit expectations. That difference, instead of being celebrated, often became a source of discomfort. Her parents, concerned about her appearance, introduced restrictions that left a lasting emotional impact. It planted the idea that she needed to be adjusted to be accepted. While her home offered stability, it also quietly reinforced a message that she was too much. That contradiction shaped her early identity. Long before she spoke boldly on air, she was learning how it felt to be seen and judged at the same time, a tension that would later define her voice. Finding power in sound. As a teenager, Wendy discovered something that felt like freedom: radio. Late at night, she would listen closely, absorbing the rhythm and confidence of voices coming through the speakers. Those broadcasters weren't just talking, they were connecting, commanding attention without being seen. That realization stayed with her. Radio became more than entertainment. It became possibility. In college, she pursued communications and quickly found her place behind a microphone. What made her different was her instinct to speak naturally rather than perform. While others tried to sound professional, she sounded real. That authenticity stood out immediately. It wasn't about reading scripts. It was about creating conversation. She had a way of making listeners feel included, as though they were part of something intimate and unscripted. That early experience didn't just shape her career. It confirmed that her voice, the very thing she had been told to soften, was actually her greatest strength. Breaking into a resistant industry. The media landscape of the 1980s was not particularly welcoming to someone like Wendy. She was outspoken, direct, and unwilling to conform to expectations placed on women in broadcasting, especially Black women. Her early jobs required persistence more than recognition. She worked in smaller markets, learning every detail of the craft while waiting for larger opportunities. These early experiences were not glamorous, but they were essential. They taught her how to hold attention, how to build an audience, and how to trust her instincts. When she eventually made her way into major markets, she didn't arrive quietly. She brought her unfiltered style with her, challenging the norms of how radio personalities were expected to behave. That refusal to adapt made her both compelling and controversial. It didn't guarantee immediate acceptance, but it ensured she would not be ignored. Slowly, she built a reputation that made her impossible to overlook. Fame built on fearless conversation. By the 1990s, Wendy had transformed into one of the most talked about voices in radio. She approached celebrity culture differently, treating it as something to examine rather than admire. She asked difficult questions and addressed rumors openly, creating a style that blurred the line between entertainment and commentary. This approach attracted a loyal audience but also created tension within the industry. Not everyone appreciated her candor, especially those whose public image depended on control. Still, her influence grew. She turned everyday broadcasts into events people anticipated. Her success wasn't built on approval. It was built on engagement. People listened because they never knew what she might say next. That unpredictability became her signature. But success at that level also came with pressure. Behind the scenes, the same intensity that fueled her career began to take a personal toll, creating cracks that were not yet visible to the public. Personal battles behind public success. While her career flourished, Wendy faced challenges that remained largely hidden. Her first marriage ended quickly, leaving emotional strain that she carried quietly. During this period, she also struggled with substance use, something she would later speak about openly. At the time, however, it was a private battle. The contrast between her public confidence and personal difficulty became more pronounced. She maintained her professional presence while navigating issues that were far more complicated than her audience realized. This duality, being strong in public while struggling in private, became a recurring theme in her life. It also shaped her perspective, giving her insight into the complexities behind the stories she discussed on air. Her experiences were not just obstacles, they were part of what made her voice resonate. She understood vulnerability, even when she wasn't ready to show her own. Love, partnership, and complication. Wendy's relationship with Kevin Hunter marked a significant turning point in her life. What began as a partnership that felt supportive gradually became more complex. He played multiple roles: husband, manager, and business partner, blurring the lines between personal and professional boundaries. For a time, this arrangement seemed to work, helping her expand her brand and reach new heights. However, dynamics like these often carry hidden tensions. Decisions that should have been hers alone became shared, and control became less clear. While she continued to thrive publicly, the structure of her personal life grew more complicated. Relationships built on multiple roles can create imbalance, even when they appear stable from the outside. Over time, those imbalances began to surface. Though she defended her relationship publicly, those closest to her noticed the strain. It was a slow shift, one that would eventually have lasting consequences. Transition to television stardom. When Wendy transitioned from radio to television, she didn't lose her identity. She expanded it. Her talk show quickly gained popularity, attracting millions of viewers. She brought the same honesty and unpredictability to television that had defined her radio career. The format allowed her to connect with audiences in a new way, blending humor, commentary, and personal storytelling. Her presence became a daily ritual for viewers, and her catchphrases entered popular culture. She stood out in a crowded field by remaining herself, refusing to soften her perspective to fit expectations. This success marked the peak of her career, solidifying her as a major figure in entertainment. Yet even at this height, the pressures she carried did not disappear. The demands of maintaining that level of visibility, combined with ongoing personal challenges, began to weigh more heavily. The balance between her public and private worlds became increasingly difficult to sustain. Health, loss, and turning points. In the late 2000s, Wendy began facing serious health challenges. Conditions affecting her energy and physical well-being made it harder to maintain the pace she had kept for years. Around the same time, her personal life underwent a major shift when her marriage ended after long-standing issues became public. These events marked a period of significant change. She addressed many of these challenges openly, maintaining the honesty her audience expected. However, openness doesn't eliminate difficulty. Managing health concerns, emotional strain, and professional responsibilities simultaneously is a heavy burden. She continued to show up, demonstrating resilience, but the cost of doing so became more visible. These years represented a turning point, where the strength that had carried her forward was tested in new and profound ways. It was no longer just about maintaining a career. It was about navigating life under intense scrutiny. Silence where there was once sound. Eventually, Wendy stepped away from her show, and the absence was deeply felt. For someone whose identity was so closely tied to her voice, this shift was significant. Reports of health complications and cognitive challenges added complexity to her situation. Discussions around her care and independence became part of the public conversation, raising questions about autonomy and support. What made this particularly striking was the contrast. Someone known for constant expression, now facing limitations in communication. It was not just a career pause, it was a deeply personal transition. Despite these challenges, moments of connection and determination continued to emerge. Her story did not end with silence, it evolved. The public began to see a different side of her journey, one that emphasized resilience in a quieter, more vulnerable way. A legacy beyond the microphone. Wendy Williams' impact goes far beyond her years on air. She changed how audiences engage with media, encouraging openness and challenging traditional boundaries. Her approach influenced a generation of broadcasters and reshaped the tone of celebrity commentary. While her journey has included success, struggle, and uncertainty, her influence remains undeniable. She built something meaningful from her authenticity, even when it came at a cost. Her story is not defined by any single chapter, but by the full arc of her experiences. It reflects the complexity of being human, strong yet vulnerable, confident yet challenged. As her life continues to unfold, what remains clear is the significance of her voice, both literal and symbolic. It represents not just what she said, but what she stood for: the courage to be heard, even when the world isn't ready to listen.